Hi. Trauma is a universal occurrence that all human beings face, no matter who you are, rich, poor, um, privileged, doesn't matter. Every single one of us, through our lifetimes, will face some sort of trauma. Personally, for me, my trauma started when I was born. I was born in Afghanistan in 1991 during the Civil War and post the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. The environment itself, being born in a traumatic society, let alone being part of uh, conflict, is very traumatic. At the age two, my parents decided to leave the country, so which made me a war refugee. Growing up, I was living in neighboring Pakistan, Iran, Uzbekistan, and other countries, which eventually led me to come to the United States through the United Nations. Uh, my early childhood was very, you could say, difficult at some points. Being a refugee is not the easiest way of life. Lack of food, lack of security, lack of property, all those things bring certain traumas inevitably out of your control that shape you. When I was growing up in the United States, there was a period of my life that I was really angry at the world without knowing the reason. Later on, when I had to face these traumas, when I had to confront the pain and suffering, the things that at an early age you see as a refugee, uh, that was when I was starting to deal with my pain, with the traumas suffered, uh, uh, that I suffered. My way of dealing with my traumas became through education, through learning and reading and writing, through understanding. It's personally, I believe, it's when we understand, is that when we learn of the source of our traumas, the source of others' traumas, that when we could actually heal and get beyond a certain point. As human beings, if we understand other people's traumas, just even a little bit, I think we could bridge certain gaps that will make it easier for us to understand each other. If we are able to feel other people's pain, other people's misery, understand where they come from, then I think we will be less judgmental. We will be less to shrug off their circumstances. If you look at the world right now, Syrian refugees, a lot of different crises in the world that people often ignore, but then people go on and protest and argue and cry about a monkey getting killed in a zoo. Those are the things that made me sympathize more because of my past. Because I went through what I went through, I could sympathize, I could understand somebody's pain. Even if I don't personally go through them, I will at least have an understanding of what kind of pain that is. If you look at the great works of uh, Mandela, Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King, all of them through different school of thoughts, they still preach an understanding of the other. By understanding other people, we could learn more about ourselves and even them. That reduces tensions and conflict. I go a step further, I advocate by understanding other people's trauma. Then we could have a bit more peaceful society, if we look at where people's pain come from, then we will be less judgmental and more sympathetic, more helpful, and more kind to each other. And at the end of the day, we have to decide if we will control our traumas, or our traumas will control our life. Because if we don't get a hold of those traumas that shape our life, again, does not matter who you are, you will face a certain trauma, then you will not be able to live your life to the fullest. I will leave you with this. A favorite poem by Nelson Mandela, which helped him cope with almost 3 decades of being a prisoner in apartheid South Africa, coping with those traumas, was called Invictus. And the last 2 lines are, "You are the captain of your soul, you are the master of your fate." Thank you.